he was like, some of you all are waiting for good news. And that good news you've been waiting for, you're going to get it this weekend. Y'all, let me tell you about this testimony. That Monday, it was January 15th. It was the second week of my internship. And on that specific day, they allowed us a week. We didn't have to go into the office. So I was home. I was right here on my lovely bed doing some work. And I get a phone call from a 352 number. You know? And it's funny because before I even picked up the phone, I already knew what it was. That, like, no one's name came up, nothing. Just 352. And I get 352 numbers all the time because I do go to school in Gainesville, and especially with my job. So I pick up. And then she says her name. Hello, my name is blah, blah, blah. And I already knew who she was. When she said her name, I knew who she was because I met her since my freshman year. I'm beyond, like, shook. Like, I did not just get an interview. And what was so crazy to me was that the way that I thought I was going to get the message or the message for the interview wasn't the way I got it. I kept checking my emails, but little did I know I was never going to get an email. I was going to get a phone call for this interview. And I was just beyond ecstatic because I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, the school that I didn't even apply to, the school I ended up applying to late, ended up being the first school to give me an interview. Wow, God is so good. I'm like replaying that day in my head because it was just so crazy. I'm like, wow, I got an interview, calling my parents, praise God, everything. So I ended up having my interview. I scheduled it for February 1st. So during the time leading up to me prepping for that interview is when I just feel like the shackles started to break. After I got my interview for UF is when interviews started rolling in from other schools. And I was just like, God, like, this is too much. And something I just want to point out is if you read my Pray, Wait, and Trust blog, I talked about God revealing to us things during the precise moment and the precise time. And I'm just like, God, my season wasn't during the fall. Like, my time was this spring semester. This was the precise moment when I was going to hear this news. This was the time that you wanted me to hear all of this. And I feel like it was important for me to go through that entire experience because it allowed me to trust in God a way I would have never trusted him. And I kind of reflect back on the moment, like, you know, what if I ended up just applying to UF when I wanted to apply to UF? And, you know, I got accepted earlier. Not saying like that would have been a problem because that would have released so much stress I was going under, but my faith in God became something so different because I had to go through that extended period of time of just waiting and not knowing and the unknown. And it made me grow so strong in faith. So I had my interview for UF and thank God, I'm just shout out to all the people who gave me all the pointers. You guys are the bomb. And my interview for UF was actually my favorite. Like, out of all the schools I interviewed at, UF was my favorite. I just felt something. And even during like re-going over the mission statement, I'm just like, wow, like there were words in the mission statement that I specifically wrote in my personal statement. And I'm just like, how did I not see this for myself? Like, UF Med was the school that I essentially was supposed to be at. Like, you look at my application and you're seeing the type of doctor that I want to be and the leader I want to be within the physician community, and it just aligned with UF. And I was just mind boggled. Like, how did I not see this before? And it's because I was being stubborn and I had tunnel vision and I was focusing on my own interests at the heart. But God had his own plans for me. Like, God knew I was going to end up at UF Med, but I was being so stubborn and chasing these other schools and these other, you know, higher institutions. And it's funny because when the time came, those weren't even the places I even wanted to go to anymore. And not saying not to pursue other schools, just talking about my story. And my mom always prayed, like the whole time when I was applying, my mom had a prayer, and her prayer was, well, not her prayer, but she kept telling her like what God was telling her. She was like, Esther, I just have a feeling that the first school that accepts you is going to be where you go. And my mom didn't, my bad. My mom didn't necessarily know what school was going to accept me first. I didn't know, like, and I mean, that's so, you know, you don't want to jump to conclusions just because the school accepted you first. Like, if you're getting multiple interviews, you want to be able to explore your options. And my mom just kept saying it, like, Esther, I just have a feeling that first school that accepts you is going to be the place you end up matriculating into. And that's essentially what it became. Like, went to these other schools and nothing caught my attention like UF did. It's kind of like say yes to the dress. Like that moment you get when you fit on your dress, like that's how I felt about UF. And my entire like opinion about the school changed. Wow, it's just it's so crazy. So long story short, I guess, me getting into UF, I feel like it was a blessing. I feel like just the place I didn't want to be at was where God put me. And I truly feel like I was meant to be here. I was meant to spend another 4 years in Gainesville. And I don't know why, I don't know why specifically, like why this was this, like why 4 more years here in Gainesville, what God's purpose is for me here. But I know he has a plan for me here, and I'm not going to question that at all. And I'm just excited to just see like how I grow into like the woman I'm supposed to become here. And, I'm also just questioning, like, like I said at the time, I really just wanted to go out of state and be far. But now it's like, I actually want to stay in Florida now. I actually want to be closer to home. So just all these other factors, I feel like when I was applying, I wasn't really thinking about. I just wanted to get away so bad. But I'm just really excited about where I am. I feel like I'm going to achieve so many great things here at the University of Florida. I feel like this entire thing was just one of my biggest testimonies, because if you know me, you saw what I went through and saw the doubt I went through. And I'm going to be honest, I honestly didn't think I would get accepted to UF Medical School. My MCAT score was nowhere near UF's average MCAT score. I doubted myself. I had imposter syndrome from before, but these schools like see something in you that you might not even see in yourself. And just for anyone going through this application cycle, you're going to doubt yourself a lot. And I was doubting myself so much. But you bring so much to this table. And if there's these people looking at you like, wow, we want you in my school, we want you in our school, then you need to be able to look at yourself and be like, wow, I'm bringing a lot to the table. So just being able to reflect on yourself and seeing what you bring to the table and not doubting yourself and being confident in all that you've done and all that you've achieved and everything that you did to bring yourself here. And I think just one of the biggest things is not comparing your story to anyone else. And I think I'm going to have to constantly remind myself this, but my journey to medical school and my journey to medicine is not like everyone else. Like, some people do post-bac programs. Some people do a whole bunch of research during undergrad. Some people do X, some people do Y, some people do Z. I had my story. And in moments where I felt like my story didn't fit the criteria, there is no criteria. Even though that people feel like there is one, you need to set your own criteria, set your own standards. During my interview, I was the only person who was not a science major. I still have the picture. Every single person during a lot of my interviews were chemistry and biology and just, neuroscience. And not saying there's anything wrong with that, but I was health education. And I was very confident in my major. I knew why I went into my major, and I knew how my major can contribute to me being a different type of doctor in the future. And I was confident in that. And I got accepted into medical schools with my major. So definitely being confident in what you bring to the table and what you do. And don't feel ashamed about any aspect of your life. Like, these schools are going to accept you for who you are at the end of the day. So you need to present your best self forward. People, this is just one big praise. So I never thought about how I was going to wrap this up, but essentially that's my whole story. So I don't like to say that I chose UF. I feel like UF chose me. I felt like that school really valued me as a person, and it wasn't just like, oh, Esther, we're trying to choose you for this school, but they made me feel important enough to know that my opinion on the school I was going to mattered. So I'm just really excited for my future at UF Med, and I hope that I'm able to document my journey throughout this, because I'm so big on other people, seeing other people's journeys, and especially like minorities, seeing that we can get to this position. Like, my mom was an orphan in Haiti. My dad was raised by a single mother. My parents came here, like, my dad came here in the 2000s. My mom came here late 90s. But you do not have to let your environment and your circumstance, dictate how your future is going to end up being. You just have to work really hard and definitely reach out to people, reach out to mentors. Like, shout out to so much people who I reached out to and just answered those questions for me, who were there for me, because oftentimes it really is hard, especially when you're attending a predominantly white institute, to find those people within your institution to look up to and to help you out. But I definitely encourage you all to just really reach out to people and, just take that extra leap of faith and just truly believe in yourself. So yes, that was my entire story. Thank you so much for tuning in. This was super long, but I just want to say that God is good, and you just have to continue to trust in him and trust in his timing for your life. And as always, stay fabulous. Thank you, guys.